This is an SM Media production.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media East of Scotland football show. I'm Scott McPike. It's always a pleasure to be your host, and I'm delighted to be joined by this week's guest. It's a pleasure to welcome the manager of Bathgate Thistle, Gordon Wilson. Gordon, it's a pleasure to welcome you on, mate. Thank you very much for joining me.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this. Obviously, you're sitting top of the third division. Obviously, that with one defeat before we'd arranged this podcast, and then just as luck has it, we arrange it. The weekend you're coming on, obviously, there's a defeat. We'll get into the defeat, obviously, but in terms of getting into Bathgate, obviously, I think it was March you took the job at Bathgate. What was the kind of ambition for the club? How did the job come about, and how you kind of settled into the role?
Yeah, so I'd kind of came on board with Bathgate, helping out in a coaching capacity. So I finished playing last season. I was sort of player coach at West Calder. Decided to take a step back from football at the end of the season with stopping playing. And then initially last season, I kind of went in to support Livy United for a while. That didn't really work out. So the opportunity came about just to support from a coaching capacity, which is something I've been doing since I was young. So I was kind of in there supporting, leading sessions and things like that. And when the manager decided to step aside, I was given the opportunity by the committee to sort of step up and take that on, which was at the time it was a steep learning curve. Obviously, at that time the team were struggling a little bit, but there was an abundance of quality within the squad there. So it was just a case of trying to get them into an organised shape that they can work with. Try and get a few sort of principles instilled in them that can hopefully progress them as players and as a team as well. And I think we've started to see some of the benefits of that, particularly this season as well. So yeah, I think it's been a steep learning curve, but it's been enjoyable.
And you look obviously at the league, in terms of the start, a sensational start. Won your first 5 games, some big away victories in there. Obviously beating Livy United 5-2, beating Stonyburn 3-0, and then just a sensational run for that, losing at home to Howick in the end of August. But until then, obviously until Saturday, unbeaten in your next I think it was something like 13 matches. So it's been a phenomenal run so far. How impressed have you been with the kind of players, and like to be sitting where you are just now? Obviously, 41 points for 17 games. It's phenomenal reading. How impressed have you been with the overall kind of standard of your side so far?
Yeah, very impressed. I think like full credit needs to go to the players alongside my coaching staff. So I've been quite lucky. My assistant manager George Bonner, my goalie coach Jim Smith have been fantastic as well. More recently, one of my players, Ryan Stevenson's, sort of joined the coaching staff as well. So they've been brilliant. But the most of the credit needs to go to the players. When as I said, when we've took over, we've tried to bring in a few things that we wanted to do. They've really bought into the shape, how we want to play, how we want to press. We do a lot of things like analysis and stuff like that after games, and they've bought into that kind of thing. So, and the key thing there is as well that a lot of this team a lot of the players from previous years as well. I think we had 15 or something kept on from last year. So the quality was there. We've just managed to sort of steer that quality in the right way, the right direction, and I think they're getting the plaudits they deserve for that now as well. 195 goals I think they'd conceded in the previous 2 seasons, so it's been a huge turnaround for.
And in terms of obviously the league as a whole, like last season when you went in, like there was a couple of sides who were obviously running away with it and got up, but this season it seems to settle down a lot more. There's a lot of really competitive sides in the league. Have you been surprised with how good the standard is in the third division?
I played at this level all my days, so I'll say no. Try and back myself a little bit. No, not at all. I think think there has been a sort of settling down period in the leagues where I think that the league's setup hasn't been fully reflective of the clubs and the quality, just with the restructuring and things like that. That's not taking anything away from teams that are in higher leagues or have come down. But I think there were some right good teams in this league, and there still are, who will probably look and think that they should be playing at a higher level. And I think they'll probably be fair with that. I mean, even if you look at sort of mid-table in this league just now, teams like Fauldhouse are really high standard. So
Yeah.
I think the standard has been great, and that's been shown by the teams that have been getting promoted, going straight up. I think that will slow down in the next few years, but I think in the initial years, those teams that have went up have been absolutely outstanding. So I think that just shows the quality that the bottom league has had in that period as well.
And like obviously Bathgate kind of coming through the junior setup and things like that, like it's obviously been a good pathway. The club kind of recognising like the ambitions of the like, are they looking ahead to the next kind of few years and what the pyramid system can do? Because obviously like Bathgate you think of kind of, I remember going to watch Bathgate in a junior cup final in 2008 and things like that. And yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, with sides like that. But obviously, with the new structure, there is a possibility that clubs like Bathgate can really push up the leagues.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think a lot of teams in our league and the leagues immediately above as well have the same sort of opinion. So the committee have fully backed me since I came in as well. They've been absolutely brilliant. They've got huge ambitions for the club. They have, as you say, it is a bit of a sleeping giant in terms of the old junior structure, winning the
Yeah,
Scottish Cup and things like that. But they have backed us. And they put absolutely everything into the club. Like you don't actually appreciate until you become a manager just how much the committee give their lives to the clubs, which makes it even harder when you see things like what's happened to Rosyth as well.
yeah,
The committee would have just given absolutely everything for that club. So everything's now there. The pitch is fantastic. The groundsman does a brilliant job of keeping that at a really high standard. The committee do everything that they can. They've got the youth structure getting into place and stuff like that as well. So everything is starting to sort of come together to give the foundations for the club to try and kick on a bit.
yeah, absolutely. And we'll get your thoughts, obviously, in the game of the weekend as we get into talking about the third division. But we'll start with some cup action. Congratulations to Bo'ness Athletic winning the Alex Jack Cup. They beat Here at Watt University 2-1 in the final on Sunday. Closely contested. I saw an interview Wally Irvin did, and he said he was first of all kind of saying about how sloppy say we were in the second half. You probably know better than me, obviously, been seeing the game. What was the overall kind of takeaways for the game, and how impressed you been with Bo'ness Athletic?
Yeah, I think his summary there is probably bang on. I thought it was the old cliche, a game of two halves. I thought Bo'ness were really strong in the first half. And I think Heriot Watt done brilliantly to not let them run away with it in the second half. And I thought that Heriot Watt were the stronger team probably in the second half. I think as well, I've seen Bo'ness quite a lot in the last couple of years, and I think he's right. It was quite uncharacteristic of them to be like that in the second half. And got to give credit to Heriot Watt because they stuck at it. They took advantage of that. They got the penalty and got back in the game. And it was just a really cruel way to lose the game like that and a free kick so late on. But again, that just shows the quality and the experience that Bo'ness have just now, that they can bring on players like that that have come on and impacted the game. But I think it was a really good cup final, fairly even as well. So it was good to see.
And obviously that's the third trophy for Bo'ness Athletic in a year. They won obviously the third division last season, and then obviously the League Cup a month after that. Now obviously they won the Alex Jack Cup. They're on a marvellous run, and when you've got players like Sandy Cunningham who can come on and score a late winner, they've got so much depth, and you just think the sky's the limit for them in terms of the East of Scotland.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, my first game, and I was hoping you weren't going to talk too much about them because my first game in charge was actually a 12-0 defeat away to Bo'ness Athletic. So I think particularly at home, they really just get at teams. They've managed to recruit. I mean, it's easy to say if teams have got money, they should do well, but you've got to spend it right. And when
Yeah.
they've lost players of the quality, like the front three last year, were obviously a really high standard, and they've replaced them really well. Um, they've got quality throughout the team as well. I think like the front three probably took the credit last year, but the boys Sneds in the middle and Wayne at the back are just absolutely fantastic players. And when you've got that sort of foundation, you can kind of kick on. So yeah, I think they deserve everything that they're getting just now because they've been fantastic. And that's the thing about yesterday as well. It's actually two successful teams. It's Heriot Watt. I know the manager, BJ, well, being former teammates and things like that. And he's been a bit of a sounding board for me at times as well since I've become a manager. But they've had success in the university leagues and getting to cup finals as well. So I think you could see that in the game yesterday. It was just two teams that are well organised, well managed, just going at it. So it was a really good cup final to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to ask you obviously about here at what they've done well. Like obviously last season they gained promotion. They're sitting in 11th place, and a lot of people I speak to talk about BJ and just how well he's done there. And with university teams, as you know, it's difficult to really get an idea like players there. Obviously, it's very different to going out and be able to sign players. But how impressed are you with this kind of standard there and what they could go on to do?
Yeah, I think obviously talking about BJ again, he's just been absolutely fantastic. Like his football knowledge is ridiculous, like off the charts. Sometimes look and think he could probably be at a higher league in terms of status for himself, but then at the same time, the development of those players is something that he really is passionate about, and I think it would be a disservice to some of those players if he wasn't in that sort of role. Because I mean, if you look at it, it's just it's a conveyor belt for players going into the leagues now, and that just shows the quality that they're bringing through. And it's similar to the Bonus situation. They can go out and get players when they lose their front three. Sometimes at university, I played at university myself. You're sometimes waiting for the summer intake to see if you're actually going to be a good team or not. Obviously, it's progressed now with things like scholarships and stuff like that, but you still need to be able to go and get these players in, attract them, give them the right foundation to go and play. I think he deserves all the plaudits for what he's done there. I think they've done absolutely fantastic, and I think they'll just continue with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they will as well. We'll move into the league action over the weekend with 7 games in the Premier Division. We'll start with a massive result for Pennycook Athletic. They won 4-2 away to Hutchie Vale. Goals from Wardlaw and Bailey, Quinn and Somerville. And it takes Pennycook up to 10th place. Hutchie Vale obviously been in a really good run, but I think that's a huge 3 points for Pennycook.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a team that I know quite well actually because one of my best friends is the captain, the vice captain there. So I've watched them quite a lot in the last few years, and they have obviously dipped, but I think that just shows that the quality that they've still got within the team. They've got a good young manager in Lewis, and yeah, it's quite a bit of a surprise. But I think in previous years it wouldn't have been a surprise to see that result.
No, absolutely not. It's a big result for Pennycook and Hotchie Vale. They'll be quite disappointed, obviously, with Broxburn being held at home. It would have been nice to see them if they could have cut the gap a wee bit on Broxburn. They'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I think as well they'll know that I think Musselburgh have got 2 games in hand potentially. Yeah. So I think they'll have been hoping that sort of in the form that they're in, they can get the 3 points at home and hope that Broxburn just take the points away from Musselburgh. But a really good result for them away to a really good Broxburn side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Broxburn, like obviously we're 2-0 down. Musselburgh took the lead. Wilson and Smith with the goals. And then Brass and Alison Jones obviously signing from Trinent as well. It's a huge signing and it just adds to Broxburn's strengths.
Yeah, I think they've got quality throughout the team. We played them in a friendly this season, and you could see the quality they've got. And we actually had a cup tie with them as well. It was a quite close game, but a lot of their sort of key players that have got them to where they are in the league were rested that day. And when they came on, you could just see the quality they've got throughout is frightening. So I think they're rightfully running away with that league a bit now. Just a reflection of the quality that they've got.
Yeah, absolutely. Big result for Dunbar. United won 4-0 at home to Inverkeithing, Bathgate, Gregory, Harris, and Bathgate. I think that's 2 different Bathgates that scored there. And Dunbar have been a weird team to keep a hold of this season because like they've won 2 in a row, but they obviously had 2 games postponed. That was their first league game since 13th of January when they beat Pennycook away. They've just had a lot of games called off, but you would think that they might be able to to kind of push for even second place. Like they're probably flying under the radar, Dunbar United, the way they've kind of went about their business this year.
Yeah, I think there's probably a few teams like that throughout the leagues as well. The number of games that have been off, that the leagues, if you look at the games played throughout, it's just all over the place. So I think they'll be looking at it, probably thinking we just need to keep in touching distance of the teams that are above, and then try and kick on once the games get going again. But yeah, another big win for them.
Hallowby, they're now unbeaten in their previous 7 league games. They won 3-2 at home to Greenfield Swifts. Kiffy Scott scored a double for the visitors, but Tosh, Mitchell and Alum with the goals for Hallowby, and it takes them obviously 2 points behind Sockey. Big result again for Hallowby. I've been so impressed with just how the run they're on at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see that. What they're one of those teams that now that they've got a bit of a run going, that you can see that they're just going to keep kicking on, and even if they're not going to get as high as they want this year, it's a good sort of starting place for next year, for them to try and kick on and get up that league as well.
What about obviously Greenfield? That'll be a big blow to them. Like they'll have looked at the top 3 above them, obviously all dropping points. That'll be a massive blow this week after kind of what they could. I mean, they could have went into third place and been a point behind second, and they've only played 17 games in comparison to Broxburn, who have played 21 and they're 18 points behind now. So it's looking more and more like they're going to definitely need to win their 4 games in hand and hope that Broxburn have a real slip up, which looks unlikely at this point.
Yeah, it does. It does look unlikely, especially when you see the results when they're going sort of 2-0 down and things like that. You think that it's going to be somebody in the league's chance to get back in. We've had similar throughout the leagues in recent years as well. Teams with games in hand. It's not always as good as the points actually being on the board in the first instance. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll be disappointed, but there's still plenty of opportunity for them, as you say. I think it's 5 games in hand over Hutchinson Vale. So even if they go and challenge for second place, I think that'll be a good season for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Glen Rothes, big result for them. 4-1 away to Canoe. Stuart Cargill with a double and 2 own goals, but Stuart Cargill obviously scoring takes Glen Rothes out of the relegation zone. Big result for them. They've been a side that I've been quite surprised. I've been quite disappointed with them. I thought they would be in a better position than they are. But Stuart Cargill, I said it a lot last season. He scores so many goals.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive when you're down there and you're fighting for your lives. If you've got that sort of natural goal scorer who can just get you out of holes at any time, then it's absolutely massive. So I think they'll be absolutely buzzing with that. Obviously, Canoe have not had a great season, but you still need to go. Everyone throughout all the leagues can beat anyone at any time. So it's still a bit of pressure on you to actually go there and say, right, everybody else around us are potentially going to pick up points against Canoe. No disrespect to them, obviously, but that's the way it's been going. So they'll have had that pressure of actually having to go and be the favourites to go and win the game, and they've managed to deliver that.
Yeah, absolutely. Another huge one at the bottom end of the table for Luncarty. They won 1-0 at home to Haddington Athletic. Ben Scarborough with a goal. Luncarty, I've noticed obviously they've got a new manager in. That is a huge 3 points, but they're bringing in a few players. So could they potentially have a late run? They've only played 16 games, so they've got the games in hand to try and kind of make it a fight to stay up.
Yeah, they're another one similar to Greenfield earlier. They're probably been hoping that Canoe maybe could have caused a bit of an upset with Glen Rothes, and it's just like the thing when you actually get 3 points and you start trying to kick on, the other teams around you start doing it. So similar there, they'll just need to try and keep picking up as many points as they can, try and focus on themselves and just hope that other teams around them. Because I mean, there's a few teams beyond Glen Rothes who probably aren't out of it as well if these teams can start picking up points in their games in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. We also, the final game in the first division, Sockey won, Dundonald won. Smith with a goal for Sockey and Dundonald with Mackenzie. Sockey in 6th on 35 points from 20 games. Dundonald in 26 points with 16. They've obviously got a lot of games to make up. Who do you think will be the happier of the 2 managers?
I don't think any of them will be particularly happy because you just want to win every game, don't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Dundonald are potentially a bit happier in the fact that they've got those games in hand, so they'll be looking at upwards, thinking that they can kick on and sort of catch the teams around them like Haddington and Sockey. So potentially slightly happier.
First division, we've got 5 games to talk about. We'll start with the game on Friday night. Leith Athletic, who I've been really impressed with recently, they continued their really impressive run. I think they've won the last 4. I think they're unbeaten in the last 8 or something like that. They've been very, very good. 1-3-1 at home to Blackburn United. Goals from Baxter, Patterson and Grettrex, down to 10 men as well. So Leith just keep going in a league that looks fairly, fairly competitive. Well, like kind of obviously with recycling out, like it's obviously opening up, but they've got a real potential to kind of be one of the best sides. They've got 9 games left. If they can keep this run going, they could maybe not challenge for the league. I think that's maybe they're too far going for that, but they're certainly able to kind of finish in kind of 4th or 5th.
Yeah, definitely. It's a massive win, as you say. We're going down to 10 men as well. Blackburn, really good side as well. We played them in a friendly last season. The way they pressed us and things like that, they put us under a lot of pressure. And as well, I sometimes do think that the Astro at home, in fact, I don't even know if they're still on an Astro, are they?
I don't know.
No,
Right.
but
I'll find
yeah,
out.
so yeah, but it is a really good win for them. So I'm sure they'll be delighted with that. It also puts pressure when you're the first game of the weekend. It puts pressure because everybody will have been looking at that on the Friday night or the Saturday morning. You've went and done your job for the weekend, and then you just go and see what everybody else does around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, as well, at the top of the table, 2 big results. We'll start with Newton Grange Star 2, Camelin Juniors 0. Barrowman and Ballantyne and Newton Grange return to the top of the table. So tight up at the top. So to beat your title challengers, it's massive.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. I'm surprised in a sense after Camelin's result last week. I thought that they were going to really kick on. They've maybe just been a bit unlucky that their next game is again another title challenger. So, but for Newton Grange, it's a huge game. They've got a great setup there, great pitch historically as well and stuff. So they've got the right sort of foundations in place to go and kick on. Yeah, an absolutely huge win.
Pace 1-2 away to Whitehill. Colley and Kelly with the goals. And Pace now move up to second as well. They've got the games in hand. I think a lot of people seem to say, kind of speaking to people in the East, I think a lot of people seem to say Pace are the team to beat. They've got the games, they've got a lot of really talented players, and they've won in the road.
Yeah, definitely. They are one that I do know playing an Astro, so it's difficult when you're in that situation to go away and pick up so many points away from home. So the fact they're going to places like Whitehill, obviously Whitehill haven't had the best of seasons, but you still got to go there. And as we said earlier, anybody can beat anybody in these leagues, and they do seem to be they flying. Follow them on Facebook and stuff like that. Everything that's coming out of the club just seems to be hugely positive, and that's reflected on the field as well just now.
Yeah, absolutely. Preston Athletic 3, Whitburn 1. Double from Buster Briggs, both penalties, and Ross Laidlaw with the goals. Big result for Preston, obviously takes them into 7th. Big points for Preston. Whitburn will be disappointed. I think Whitburn, I think, are a side that they've had 6 defeats. I know they're capable, they've got a lot of good players, but I think Preston, they'll beat them 3-1 huge.
Yeah, I was a wee bit surprised by it as well. Obviously, they're quite close to each other in the league, but Whitburn are a team that we know very well. I know their manager Darren very well, and he's got
Yeah.
them mega organised. They play really good football. As you say, they've got quality throughout the team. I think we've played them 4 times this year or something. I think we're the most played friendly in football history. But yeah, an absolutely huge result for Preston, as you say. Whitburn will be disappointed. I think they would have been hoping to try and kick on and push into those top spots and try and make a late surge for promotion, which they might still do. But they'll be disappointed. That's the sort of 3 points that they need to go and get if they want to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Final game in the first division, Oakley United 2, Vale of Leithen 1. Oakley United, it gives them a chance, obviously. Like I would imagine, I don't know if you'll know better than me, but with Rosyth, obviously, I would imagine their record would be expunged and it would mean only 2 go down if everything kind of goes the way. So it's giving them a fighting chance, Oakley United, to stay up, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't actually know what will happen, but I suspect you're right. I think that's the most logical
That what happened
solution.
last year with Syngenta, isn't it?
Aye, yeah. So, as you say, there's 2 teams now, sort of 6 points ahead of them, because Lacora are on 18 as well as
Yeah.
Whitehill. So similar situation to the Glen Office game. As Vale leaving have not been doing as well as they would like, but you've still got to go and beat those teams and put the points on the board, because you've got to think that other teams will fancy their chances in those games as well. So, yeah, a big win for them just to try and sort of keep on top of those teams behind them, ahead of them. Sorry.
I'm going to put you in the spot with this league, obviously the first division. Who at the end of the season do you think could be winning it?
I fancy Dunny Pace
Dunny
for
Pace.
it. I would have changed that view if Camelin had won at the weekend there, so that's how finely balanced that is. I really thought Camelin were just going to kick on after beating Whitburn. Obviously going to Newton Grange is a difficult game, but I fancy Dunny Pace now.
Dunny Pace for yourself. Let's move into the second division. We had 4 games to talk about. I think a few games were called off due to Waterloo, but we'll start. A lot of goals in this league, obviously. I think every team scored, so fair play to them. Armadale, 3-2 home win over East Houses Lily. Hat-trick from Josh Gillespie, and they're now 7 points behind Bowness. You would imagine that could be a pivotal result in terms of promotion, because Thornton Hibs can catch up. Edinburgh South have got games in hand. But that's, when you look at the scoreline, that's a huge result.
Yeah, it's definitely. They've done really well, as we touched on at the start about the teams going up from our league doing really well. But Armadale have been absolutely flying. Josh Gillespie in isolation has been absolutely flying. He seems to be scoring or getting assists every week just now as well. So when you are sort of chasing promotion or chasing a title, that's what you need. You need players like that to step up. East Houses is always a difficult game as well. They're always going to work hard. They're always going to battle. So I think that's going to be a big 3 points for them come the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Another big result for Bathgate Thistle. They moved into within 2 points of Thornton Hibs. 4-2 home win over Newborough. Mackay, Brown, Gallagher and Leslie with the goals. And Dalkeith are a side that they're capable of scoring a lot of goals. They can make it really interesting if they keep their performances up.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was 2 late goals as well that actually got them the win. I think it was the last sort of 5-10 minutes. So that's going to be a massive win for them. And again, they just need to try and keep putting points on the board. And there's sometimes if you go and we win 4-0, you don't get as much of a buzz. But if you're going somewhere and you get those 2 late goals like that, they'll probably see that, take that energy and sort of try and kick on from it as well. So I think that's a huge win for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Stirling Uni won 4-2 at home to Coldstream. Doubles from Wallison and goals from Lennon and Doan. Stirling Uni, obviously, that keeps the 20 games, 30 points, 10 wins, 10 defeats. They're doing really well, the Uni side, actually. You've got to give a lot of credit to the performances of them.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when they've got the Lowland team as well. So it's what you'd probably class as their sort of second team. Certainly in the uni leagues it would be. So yeah, they've done really well. The thing that's maybe going to go against them is the games in hand that Thornton and Dalkeith have got. But again, they've just got to try and keep on top of them, keep putting pressure on them, and hope that one of them or 2 of them slip up and see if they can actually go and try and push for promotion as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the university teams have been doing really well this season.
Yeah, and Edinburgh College drew 2-2 with Kennaway. Edinburgh College are in 6th place on 28 points. Kennaway are on 20 points with 14. They've got games in hand, Kennaway. I would say they're probably the side I thought would do quite well this season. It's just not worked out.
Yeah, I think they have had a couple of good results early on as well. Like I think they went away and they beat Armadale early on midweek as well, which is obviously a bit of a trek. So you probably never know what you're going to get from your players and who's going to be available for that kind of distance midweek and an early kickoff. So they have had throughout the season some good results, but they've just never been able to. So far, anyway, they've not been able to sort of get that consistency to push themselves up and try and get into that sort of challenge for third place.
Yeah, in terms of the second division, there's a lot of teams like the likes of Edinburgh South have only played 13 games and on 27 points, so you'd imagine they could kind of potentially make a go of it. But like, see if you're in that position as a manager, if you've 17 games to play in 3 months, and it could be it's a lot of football, and would you rather have the points in the board than have to play a lot of catch up? I certainly know where I would stand.
Definitely, especially just like linked to the point I just made about Kennaway there. Once you get into the midweek games, you're going to have boys coming straight for work,
Yeah.
early kickoffs. I mean, I was involved in a game last year with Live United and Bowness, and like there was literally 4 or 5 players from each team just turned up, walked on the park, and started playing. for a 6 o'clock kickoff. So yeah, you would rather have points on the board, but at the same time they'll still be looking at it, hoping that they can get a run together. Because the opposite side of that is if you do start winning those games and you get into a habit of winning in your 2 games a week, then you can build on that. So, but yeah, I think they would much rather have the points on the board. And we've seen this at this level before as well. I think a couple of years ago, Sargenta looked like they were running away with the league in the 3rd division, and they had started getting loads of games in hand and things like that, and just didn't kick on enough when the midweek game started, and when eventually went on and won the league. So yeah, I think they would much rather have the points on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the 3rd division. We'll obviously start with Bathgate 2, Lochgelly Albert 3.
Yeah.
Scott Russell with a double, Jews with a goal for Lochgelly. What was your overall takeaways from it? Like, what's the post-match analysis?
Yeah, so I think in previous games that we've dropped points, it felt a wee bit like the world was ending in the dressing room after it. I personally, I think probably Lochgelly deserved their win. I think at a push, if I was backing my players a bit more, I would say a draw might have been a fair result. But sometimes you just need to hold your hands up and say the better team won on the day. They were really well organised. Their shape was really good. They've taken their chances when they've had them. But overall, it was just a really, really good game of football. I mean, 5 goals. I think we're a bit unlucky that the 3rd goal's been an error. A goalkeeper slipped with his free kick, and they've ran through and scored an open goal. So on another day, things like that, maybe not going against you, you could push and say you maybe deserve a draw, but it was just a really, really good advert for this league. 2 really strong looking teams just going at it for 90 minutes, and they scored within the first sort of 30 seconds, caught us cold. Took us about 15, 20 minutes maybe to recover from that, and I thought they were really, really good. Full credit to my players, because it's at one point during that you're thinking this is going to be a long afternoon, but we got back into it, and I think it's a little cliche. I think sort of half time came at the wrong time for us. We'd got back level, but then they came out just strong again in the second half, and I think credit to the management team as well. Anything we tried to do, they countered it. So we've made changes to the shape late on. We've kind of went for it. They've then made changes, put extra players in at the back to just try and shore it up and things. So I think overall, if we had won the game, I think they would feel more aggrieved than I currently do. Obviously, you want to win every game, but sometimes you just need to hold your hands up and say on the day, the better team have won, unfortunately for me.
Yeah. Obviously, with Scott Russell as well, scoring a double. I've noticed recently he's scoring a lot of goals for Lochgelly, and they're a team. I think they're the only side that's played 20 games. That you would imagine kind of games are against them in terms of kind of making a promotion hunt as well. But they're certainly beginning to click, Lochgelly, in terms of they've got a lot of good goal scorers on this team.
Yeah, definitely. That was a message for the players before the game. So we kind of went there. We had a depleted squad earlier in the season when we went there. We actually only had one from the coaching team there as well. So we had a player helping out the coaching staff, and we sort of turned them over 4-0. But I think they've reached a point where they've got the right players in. The management team have started getting them playing the way they want, because these things do take time to get going. And our message this week had been clear that if the league had started sort of 5-6 weeks ago, I think we would have been level on points. So they would have been challenging us for the league. They'd now actually be ahead of us on that basis. So we were trying to get that message in the players that was not the same team that we'd beat 4-0 early in the season. They've really turned a corner. As you say, potentially the games in hand and things, it's maybe just too late for them. But I'm sure they'll give it a good go based on what I seen on Saturday.
It's 9 wins in a row for West Calder United, 1-5-1 away to Hawk, Royal Albert, a hat-trick from Andrew Jackson, goals from Wilkins, and I think it's Stephen Jackson. Is it Stephen or Sam? I can't specifically remember. Stephen. 5-1 win, obviously puts them 2 points behind Bathgate. They've obviously got a game in hand, but when they've got a striker like Andy Jackson, they're lethal. I mean, it's just so impressive. They're going places as well, aren't they?
They've got quality throughout their squad. Jacko in particular, absolutely love Jacko. I actually had him. So when I was in at Livy United, him and his brother Stephen were there, and just his experience and how he plays the game is just, it's a level above at times, and that's reflected in the fact that he has played sort of League 1-2 level, I think, as well. I think it might have been Brecon City or something like that he played for, so he has played at a higher
Johnson as well,
level.
wasn't he?
Potentially, I know he's played for a few teams up there. So's his brother as well. So he was actually really good to coach as well, because sometimes you can get players that have played at that level. If you've got a coach that's not played at that level, then they potentially don't take it on as much. But he was really good about the dressing room and things like that, and just a really good player. And unfortunately for the rest of the league just now, he's starting to hit goal scoring form as well. So, but yeah, definitely a really good player for them.
Would they be the biggest threats, you think, to yourselves for the title?
I would. I mean, but we're it's an old cliche, and we're trying to just talk about one game at a time. The main aim had always been the base aim had always been getting promotion. I keep saying to the players that we are literally 2 or 3 games away from being back into a promotion battle. Because you've got like Harthill 9 behind. I think Hoyt can go 8 or 9 behind with games in hand.
Yeah.
Stonyburn could only be 8 or 9 behind. Obviously, the one thing that's going to work against some of these teams is not all of them can win, because they're going to have to play each other. So I'm just trying to keep the players focused on trying to win each game. But you've got to think now that both teams have probably, there is a big enough gap there currently from Harthill. You would need both of us to have a really big slip up to let someone in. But there's still so much football to be played there, and we do play West Calder 3 times still as well. So we were kind of down at the weekend. Obviously, they've won. We know that then means that they can go top of the league next week, with us being the idle team. So that is their game in hand. But it doesn't, in terms of us against West Calder, it doesn't change that the 3 games are always going to be, or you think they're going to be the decider based on the obviously how other games go. So we appear to be the 2 informed teams, as well as Lochgelly. So you've got to fancy at least one of us to be kicking on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So big result for West Calder. Big result, huge result for Linton Hotspur, winning 3-0 at home to Livingston United. It's only their 3rd win in the league, so congratulations to them. Double from White and a goal from Greg. Wally Irvin said something to me interestingly the last time we did the East of Scotland show. He said Linton Hotspur next season could be a team to really keep an eye on. And I've done a bit of research on them this week. He could be right.
Yeah, they've got the right infrastructure in place for the club as well. I think they're probably going to be similar to Lochgelly in the fact that it's just took them a while to get going and get the right players in and playing the right way that the manager wants them to. I mean, they've been signing players like Dan Gregg from Arniston recently, who's a high quality player. Those kind of players, once they can get them in, get them bedded in, I could see them kicking on. They'll just be now focusing on, similar to Lochgelly again, trying to get as high up the league as they can this season to give them a sort of basis for next season to go and kick on. So I wouldn't disagree with that assessment.
Yeah, the other 2 games in the league were draws. Stonyburn won, Edinburgh Community won. Gibbs scored for Stonyburn and Clark for Edinburgh Community. And a 0-0 draw between Pumferson and Harthill. So 3rd faced 4th. Looking at those 2 results, obviously you're looking at Pumferson and Harthill being a potential promotion race. Who out of the 2 would you kind of side with in that if it was between the 2 of them?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Pumferson, we've beat both teams twice, and we've drawn with Pumferson. We've still got another game to go with Harthill. I think the players that Harthill have been bringing in maybe just let them edge it. I think Pumferston would have wanted to have won that game, especially being at home, to then try and drag them back in. I think Harthill will still be trying to look to, they'll know that they're close enough to West Calder and ourselves to try, and they'll still have aspirations to go on and win the league as well. So I think when they've got that sort of hanging over them, that'll probably help them kick on a bit. Both teams really good though. Both teams got good managers, really organised. Particularly Pumferston, their manager there, I think he's absolutely fantastic. They're so organised, set pieces and everything. I think a wee example of that. We've got a short corner, and they're the only team that we don't do it against because we know that they're going to be too organised for it. So I think it'll be interesting to see what comes out of those two teams. And obviously, I think Stonyburn will fancy themselves to get back into that as well.
Yeah, no, it's looking a really competitive league. There's a lot of teams, a lot of games in hand. So I'm quite intrigued with how that league is going to develop. We'll move into what is happening this week. Obviously, there's a couple of interesting games. Not many league games next week, I believe. No, there is. There's a full list actually. There's some obviously a full list. Looking at the only, I think the only team in the league that isn't playing is Bathgate.
Aye, that's right. Aye. So just with the odd number, that's our turn to be
Yeah.
idle. It's terrible timing for us after losing. You just want to get back out there again and try and turn things around. But we're going to be 3 weeks without a game because the following week is the League Cup and we get a bye. So
Right.
at the time, I was thinking that's maybe quite good. You're into the next round of the cup. You want to go as far as you can in the cup, but the timing of it now is just looking not ideal for us. But yeah, there's some interesting games there. Harthill and Hoyk, especially in our league. So Harthill and Hoyk, I think that's a massive game. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of those games.
Yeah, there's some interesting games like at all kind of ends of the leagues. Well, I mean, just running through a couple that come to mind, you're looking at like some Musselburgh versus Hillabead in the Premier Division could be quite interesting. Armist and Whitburn, I think, could be really interesting as well. You've got a lot of interesting games there. Newton Grange, we might be playing Rosyth. Obviously, that's been, I imagine Newton Grange will just have a free week as well. And then in the second division, you've got like some good games. Edinburgh College, Coldstream, Tweedmouth, Thornton Hibs. I would be quite interested. I imagine that's going to get moved to the Sunday. And then obviously in the third division, you've said all 5 games in the third division actually look quite interesting. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting games. What will you be heading to a game on Saturday? Will you?
No, I'm actually going away for the weekend.
All right.
I knew we were idle, so I've took full advantage of that. So yeah, we've had it planned for a while. We were always going to give the players this weekend off. Particularly just the way things have went in the last few months. So I mean, we had 4 league games between start of November and the end of January. So it's been a bit of a slog for the players. It's difficult mentality-wise to go and just build yourself up and try and keep playing friendlies to a standard that mean that you're ready to go when the competitive games kick off again. So we always had that planned. It's maybe not the worst timing for us as well. We had a lot of players back this week, but the week before we had sort of 7 players in the treatment room. Our number one goalie's been out for a couple of weeks as well, so it gives us an opportunity to get some of those players back and back up to speed, and other players a chance to sort of recover and fully get going again.
Yeah, well, enjoy the weekend, the next few weekends off, and I thank you very much for coming on the show, Gordon. Best of luck for the rest of the season. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, mate. No, I appreciate it, and I think the stuff you guys are doing in terms of keeping up the profile in non-league football as well, it's absolutely fantastic. So I think anything the clubs can do to help that out is we're always happy to do so. So thanks very much for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in, folks. There will be no show next week because, like Gordon, I'm going away on holiday. So enjoy that next week, folks. There will be a roundup. We'll do a written roundup at some point next week. So stay tuned for that. And we'll be back at the start of March for a new show. Thanks very much, folks. We'll see you soon.